So we're here at the Touch Truck event. This is a spin-off for the association's previous Wash the Fire Truck Day. With kind of everything with COVID, easing up, opening up, and it being the last weekend before school starts this week, we wanted to bring in some outside people and make it more of a community event. Around, we've had several sponsors that help make this event free. Everyone that came in is free to the public. We've had people like Boston Medflight, who you'll see no longer with us. They were in service. They're a nonprofit organization that we use. They have a helicopter that we can call in. In the field, we had UMass Lifeline touch down with their helicopter, which is always a cool thing to see. We have a couple of tow trucks from the area, from Countryside. We have the Stow Highway Department with some of their new trucks, and some other local businesses. So the Stow Firefighters Association is a nonprofit organization. We are made up of members of the fire department, and what we do is we help support the members, the department, and the community. So any members in need, it's one of those things where we can kind of help them, because if we can't do our job or come in to do our job for calls, then we really can't provide support. If you walk around the station, there are things. So behind the fire trucks, we have a fridge, we have some snacks, and we were able to obtain a ice cream vending machine. So it's just things to kind of help support the department and the needs. Back early on, the association was one of the big contributors to buying equipment and stuff, and now the town, with how the town supports the department, we kind of rely less on that, but we rely on the feeling of home. Recliners we have, things inside the building, we help with that, and then it gives us the opportunity to host events like this and kind of expand out and help really promote the department and what the Stow Fire Department does for the town, the public, and the visitors.
Good morning, my name is Sarah Sullivan. I'm one of the nurses with UMass Memorial Lifeline. This is our current helicopter. It's a EC-145. We are based out of UMass Memorial in Worcester, and we cover a 150-mile radius for patient care. We're staffed with a nurse, pilot, and a paramedic. And what we do is we're basically a flying ambulance. We provide critical care transport to really sick patients, either patients that need to come out of hospitals, small community hospitals, going to larger tertiary care facilities, or we'll also do what we call scene transports, so transporting patients that are victims of car accidents or falls. We will bring patients to whatever hospital that they need to go. If a patient needs to go into Boston or even to hospitals in Connecticut, we can provide that transport. And then for our trauma patients, we bring them to the closest level 1 trauma center, whether it be back to UMass or depending on where the accident is, we may even take a patient into Boston.
Okay, next thing we're doing, we're auctioning off a car. So we'll start with $5. Yeah, we got $5. Okay. It's still drivable, like new. Couple of scrapes, but we can make do. I'll even tow it to your house. So, what we're gonna do is we're gonna take a seat. Okay, what we're gonna do is we're gonna show you what we do with our tools. The jaws of life. If anyone saw the shark that was roaming around, that's why I'm actually up here, with the water spreading, the shark likes to swim. See, don't find anything I do funny. This is really disappointing. So one thing to try and do. That's it, I'm going home. So we're going to use the jaws of life. I'm going to show you what happens during a car accident when we need to get someone out of a car. So, we have a couple firefighters. We have what we call the jaws of life. Car. kind of works.
That one too.
Does this work?
Yeah, we'll see what happens. So, we pull the dogs away. They're really big spreaders. And we have cutters, which cut things. And we have tools we call irons. The nice thing is the old days, we had a big unit, lots of noise, really powerful, and you couldn't hear anyone talk. The new ones now, when they're on, we really don't know it. The nice battery, they're nice and quiet, makes life a lot easier, especially with a lot of things going on. They're really not that light though. So, the first thing we do when we come to a car accident is we find out how many people there are, how many cars there are, we look for anything hazards, right? So, anything like wires, any other cars, any fluids leaking, we want to make sure we're safe. We'll cut the battery. So, we determine we have someone in the car, like Steve here, and they can't get out. This door doesn't open. Then we have a couple things we have to do. First thing is we make access. So we find a way to get into the car. We'll break some windows. You can find one in. We'll send the provider in. So that does BOS or AOS here. And okay, start our care. So what we're going to do, go ahead. Pop these three windows. We're going to take the three front windows in.
So, as long as everyone stays behind the caution tape, what they're going to do is they're going to take the tool and break the window. After we break them, we clear all the glass out because we want to try to keep them from starting and cutting their windows. So, if you've ever seen a window break, the side windows, they break into little pieces. When we go to the front windshield, the tools are going to come up and it's different. The front windshield is bending. So instead of all these little pieces, like you'll see on the side, the front's like a big piece of plastic on it. It takes a lot more work. They make a little hole, and they'll take the tools and just work around and cut. So during this time, this is when we're going to have a person inside, and they're going to talk to the patient, let them know what's going on. Because if you don't know what's going on, it's a little scary. Lots of noises, lots of things moving around. So we use our typical tools. That first one, the axe, as everyone knows. The Halligan has a couple points that give them axes. And then, believe it or not, a sawzall is pretty handy to go quick. While we do this, there ends up a lot going on at once, which right now we're kind of taking step by step. So while they're taking out this window, we'll start opening up doors. But, the other one can see we're going to do it kind of slow. So once the windshield's out of the way, it's like a nice big open door. There's a whole lot of access, and it's one less hazard to have to deal with, because we don't want that to break while we're trying to cut up the car. So for everyone around, we're going to do the same thing on both sides eventually. So if you can't see right now, you should be able to see soon. Okay? First thing we're going to do is on this driver's side, we're going to make access so we can get to the mechanics of the door and cut it off. Sometimes the door doesn't open because the lock was pressed, which is what I did. Sometimes it doesn't open because it's against a tree, or it got pressed in, or there's something else wrong with it. So we can use our tools And we're going to bend the metal to give us access to put the jaws of life in. When the jaws of life go in, they start spreading the door away from the other door. And it's not like what you think. You can't just put it in and start spreading those really quick. It's real slow and methodical. Because the cars nowadays, if they're made of plastic, or even the sheet metal, they'll kind of tear apart. And we don't want to do that. We want to eliminate some of that And then the cutters are a really big pair of scissors. So once we have access, we can cut and we can open the door. Once the door is open, our job's not done though. With the door even being open, it really limits how much access we have to a patient. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the entire door off the car and make it like a Jeep. All I can say is I'm really happy the weather today, because if it was like yesterday, I'd be sweating. So if we're going like this at a car and trying to cut off doors and trying to really get that patient out of the car, this is one of the situations where that helicopter you might see touch down. They're really good at that when we have to get someone to the trauma center or really a hospital that can do a lot of services. And we have time for about 20 minutes of extrication is kind of when we call them to touch down. So they'll come, they'll land our closest LZ, which the closest LZ to this parking lot right here happens to be that field. Sometimes they'll land in the middle of the street, so might kind of cause some traffic issues. But they'll touch down, and once we get the patient out, then they'll be able to put the patient in the helicopter and get them to the hospital even quicker than we can by ground. Does anyone want a door? If you don't want the car, we'll raffle the door. Do you want a door? Do you have a car? Do you have a car? I'll give you a high five, but do you have a car? Yeah? We can put the door on there. Look, it's still good. There's a mirror.
You have a big one?
I had a big one, but they're cutting up my car. So as people on the driver's side can see, once we take that door off, it gives us a lot of access. And in case we ever have to take the dashboard and lift it up off the patient, we have some more access to do that. Sometimes it's as simple as taking one door, sometimes we have to take a handful. So we're pretty fortunate in town where we have 3 sets of the jaws of life. So right now, this set is from the brand new fire engine, the really big one, and they're all battery tools. It's nice because they're quiet. Communicating makes it a whole lot easier when it's quiet and we don't have the hoses and cables. The other fire engine, which if you've seen them, have a second set. Inside those trucks, we also carry things like cones and cat litter, so if you have anything leaking. We carry what we call cribbing, which are like big Lincoln, so we can help stabilize the car. Okay, we have a couple more windows to break, so on this driver's side, here we go. Did you know I used these cutters to cut out the fire trucks that Kids Lot brought for the arts and crafts? I'm just kidding, it really doesn't work that well on paper. Okay, now that we got a couple of the doors off, what we're going to do next is, if we have to lift a patient up out of the car, is we take the roof off. You up for the challenge? So what they're going to do is, now that the doors are off, it kind of gives us a little more access to the body of the car. How cars are designed is when they get into an accident, the passenger compartment where we sit is the safest spot, because it crunches into that and it stops. So we take the scissors and we start cutting. And then they're going to take the cutters and do the same thing on the driver's side. Sometimes we don't have to take the roof all the way off, we can just fold it back. So we'll fold it back the first time, and then we'll cut the rest and take it all the way up. So when we do this, it's not always that the car is on four wheels, because that would make it nice and easy. If you happen to notice, early this morning, actually late last night and early this morning, we had two different cars at two different times that rolled onto their sides. So that just makes it a lot more challenging, and that's when we get to work with our tow truck partners to help support the car so we can work a little better. So what they're doing is they're making a relief cut in the roof. And when they do the same on the other side, they're going to take it and fold it open. And that'll give us access to the front of the car. Sometimes you have to be careful because cars nowadays have lots of airbags. So one of the first things we have to do is we have to cut the battery to make sure that the airbag doesn't go off. Because if the airbag goes off while we're trying to cut it, that just becomes another hazard involved with it. So we're lucky we already cut the battery for this. And we have no airbags in the side. We have airbags everywhere in cars nowadays to make them as safe as possible. Does anyone have any questions while they're doing this?
What's your question? How much does it cost? How much does it cost? A lot more than I have. No, I really don't know. But they gave me a set, so I haven't played with it, right? That sounds fair, right?
Okay, so now that we have the first half cut up, once we get the cutters out of there, what they're going to do is they're going to help make a little purchase so the roof knows where to fold, and then we're going to fold it upside down.
Back up, guys. Back up.
So then working as a team, what they're going to do is they're going to take the roof and fold it right in half. See how easy it goes. It's all about problem solving, just like in the school. As we do something, we find a problem and we have to fix it. Found a problem and here we go to lift it. They keep going, they're hitting something maybe. See if we can get all the way down. We're halfway there. I'm taking bets on whether or not they can do it. We're 3/4 and we're down. So if anyone couldn't buy a convertible that wants one, we'll do it for cheap. We'll take $10 maybe? Yeah? We'll make it so you can put it back in case it rains. So now that we have that halfway down, we might as well keep going. And as you can see, they're getting a little dirty and a little red in the face. It's a little warm. I mean, it's a beautiful day. I don't know why they're sweating, but apparently they have something going on. So once they catch their breath, what they're going to do is they're going to keep taking the roof, fully make it a convertible. If you ever walk behind the fire station, every once in a while you'll see a handful of cars in that back corner by the gate. And if they have the roof on them, there's a very good chance the next time you see it, it won't. What we do is we get these cars from tow companies like Countryside Towing, the tow truck that's here, and CBK Towing out of Boxborough, and they're letting us train with these. So for some reason, someone doesn't want this car anymore. which it still looks perfectly good to me, but I'm not sure. And I let us train with it because you wouldn't believe it, people don't let us do it on their real cars. So 3 more cuts and then the entire roof's gonna be off. So what's gonna happen is after we get the roof off, we're gonna have our friends from Countryside Towing, who are over there hiding, they're gonna take the tow truck and pick it up. So if you haven't seen a tow truck pick up a car, you're gonna see a tow truck pick up a car. I know, I'm excited too. After the tow truck picks up the car, we're gonna go back. If anyone wants to see, the helicopter is gonna do their final check, and then they're gonna actually take off and go back. So in just a little bit, if you want to see the helicopter take off again, which is as cool as a helicopter landing, we're gonna go back and do that very shortly. In case you ever call the police because your keys are locked in the car, if we beat the cops there, we're going to cut your door off. Just kidding, we were told we can't do that. Okay, they have one last cut, and then we're going to fold the roof all the way back. Need a new roof for your car? We can make this do. Just put a little bit of tape and just put in the roof over. final push. You can see if we can get it all the way over. And it's like a really, really, really bad convertible. So, some of the little basic things we do, and it definitely gets harder and harder depending on how the car is sitting. But we took a van and made it convertible.